Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between from the interweb. This is I, your boy Doc, here again, reviewing another game that I recently just beat. This case, it's gonna be SoulCalibur 6, the latest addition to the SoulCalibur series. But before we get into that, just a little backstory on my part, because I have actually played a little bit of this series beforehand. I've been familiar with this series ever since SoulCalibur 4 came out. Also, this was the first fighting game I ever played that wasn't Dragon Ball Z based. SoulCalibur 4 is pretty special in numerous amounts, one being that they have a lot of guest characters, including one that's from an anime who, didn't even premiere in the anime at this point, so go figure how that works. But especially out of those guest characters were 3 from the Star Wars universe: Darth Vader, Starkiller, and Yoda. Each of them were insane to use. Darth Vader because he's a literal powerhouse and murders everything in his way. Starkiller because he's got these crazy ass combos that honestly just look amazing to see. And Yoda because you don't fucking mess with the little green man. He's broken because of his size and he'll slice your kneecaps off. The other key element that stuck with me was the character customization, and I had so much fun with that bullshit. Spent a few years dicking around with that game, and then we get SoulCalibur 5, which actually had a story element to it, where you're dealing with basically the second generation of a lot of the fan favorite characters, which was pretty interesting seeing their kids and descendants and all this other crap going on. Also, what was really cool was that they had Ezio Auditore de Firenze from the Assassin's Creed, and I love the Assassin's Creed series, so I was just like, fuck it, we're buying this. And then I find it hilarious how Ezio has this broken combo where it's pretty easy to pull off. You just summon a crossbow and you just shoot at people. Literally spans the entirety of the freaking map, and you can just shoot someone off like that, and I'm just like, this is the cheapest move ever, and I love it. That said, though, I do appreciate story content and lore. SoulCalibur 5 didn't really feel as great as SoulCalibur 4. Moving on to the main topic, SoulCalibur 6. Jesus Christ, this game is freaking amazing. Granted, it took me 2 years after it was released for me to actually get around playing it, because I got a backlist of all these freaking games to play, but I tell you, it was a really good game. SoulCalibur 6, story-wise, is a reboot of the entire SoulCalibur series, and in my opinion, it's actually a pretty good move. It's very interesting what they're doing here, especially considering this is a lot more story-based than a fighting game. I mean, yes, fighting is definitely a factor. It's the whole purpose of the SoulCalibur series too. But the story behind SoulCalibur is upped 1,000 just from this entry. As all SoulCalibur games, this one has 3 guest characters that I know of. The first being Gallet from the Witcher series, which is amazing because, granted, I haven't played The Witcher yet. It's on my list, don't worry about it. But I liked what I've seen from him so far, and his fighting style is one of the best in the entire game, at least in my opinion. Then we got 2B, and Jesus Christ, I love how crazy her fighting style is. I abuse the shit out of it. It's so quick, it's so powerful, I love it. Granted, there are certain fighting styles I've noticed playing as her. There are certain fighting styles that are natural enemies against her, but if you figure out certain ways to get around it, it's pretty much no problem. There's also this guy from the Samurai Showdown games or whatever. Granted, I've not played those games, nor do I know anything about this guy. I haven't even played this guy because I haven't got the second DLC pack, but it is what it is. It's cool, he's there, and I've heard he's pretty abusive, but again, I haven't experienced it myself. Moving on. Now, single player wise, it has 2 main stories. You got the Soul Chronicles, which you play as numerous characters you should already be familiar with if you followed SoulCalibur, and also a few new ones, which I actually like the new guys too. Plus, the lore that they have and how individual characters come into contact with other individual known characters and how everything's connected. I love that. I love the storyboard behind this. I love the lore. I loved it. I loved it all. I even bought the first season pass, and that was pretty worth it. Second one I didn't buy, at least not yet. I might do it later, but for now it's kind of irrelevant. Now, the other single-player mode is honestly a very unique one to the SoulCalibur series, the first ever. You get to play as your own created character and basically rummage through the entire world as everything's going on in the SoulCalibur universe right now, which is roughly the span of about 5 years that you're involved with anyway. Now you go about, follow the main story, starts off with you absorbing astral fissures, because if you don't do this, you're going to die, because magic cancer, basically. And then it turns into you teaming up with a few people to save the world from a guy who is trying to save the human race by literally killing off most of the population. Yeah, go figure how that works, but you know, that's how insane people usually do. As you go about the main story, there's ample amounts of side quests between little tasks that increase your money and your XP, to actually events that have you interact with the full cast of the SoulCalibur series in one aspect or the other. Or, you know, they go off to other created characters that they created for this game specifically and go about and doing all this stuff. There's a lot of lore, there's a lot of story to it, and it's really amazing what they've done here, and I love the crap out of it. Also, there's a little bit of a few jabs at things, because there's a character in SoulCalibur, Murasame. Also, forgive me if I ever mispronounce any of the names, I'm horrible with them. But anyway, Murasame was kind of a trouble character with certain countries that were releasing this game because they had a thing against samurais for some reason. Go figure. I don't know the history behind that. But anyway, they replaced his character with a guy called Arthur, who's basically just a Western samurai, which I'm just like, okay. So, SoulCalibur 6, when you get towards the end, there's a side quest where you meet Arthur, and then you tell him about Murasame because, you know, they're so identical. And Arthur's just like, I want to fight this guy. And then you meet Murasame later again, and he's just like, oh, take me to this guy. And then they fight. And it's actually kind of funny because they take the time to do little jabs at this stuff, and it's really funny too. Also, spoiler alert, Murasame wins because Arthur is a samurai wannabe. But seriously though, looking back from like SoulCalibur 4 all the way to here, it's insane how they've gone leaps and bounds to like actually get out their story there, and also all the details, all the little details that they put into this game, and it's freaking amazing for someone like me who values story content over game content. I mean, granted, the game content needs to be good too, but I look for that story, man, and this has it. This I love how it turns out. But anyway, getting to the actual combat situation, it's pretty much the same as it's always been up to SoulCalibur 4. It's just that they've reamped certain fighting styles. Like, for example, Nightmare isn't a complete freaking waste of trash like I've experienced in SoulCalibur 4. Like, I can actually murder things with him like I've done with Darth Vader, and it's amazing. There's really not a fighting style I don't hate in SoulCalibur 6, except for, his name escapes me, but the giant golem-looking guy who has an axe. Yeah, I hate his fighting style. I can't work with it. I can work with it, but No, obviously I do have my favorite fighting styles. There's two in particular I've like basically abused the shit out of while going through the Liberal of Souls story mode, which is the OC one that I mentioned before. Again, I probably mispronounced the name, but it is what it is. Now, when you're fighting other AI-controlled characters or whatever, especially in the single-player modes, it kind of ranges from, like, this is like child's play to, okay, this is easy. And then you get to the end, and oh boy, once you get to the end, side quest missions, you find things that make you go from, what the fuck is that, to, this thing has no freaking chill! That's my fight with the ancients, basically. I fought one of those things, I'm not fighting anymore. The other thing, too, about Liberal of Souls is that technically it never ends. Yes, you can complete the main story. Yes, you can do all the significant, like, side quests. But in actuality, the side quests never really end for one reason or the other. You can go about, you can, you know, max out all the fighting styles. You can fight all the freaking ancients you want. You can do the bounty things. You can fight the mythical creature, crazy motherfuckers that come out at the end. And I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of done right now because I don't want to fight no more ancients. But anyway, My experience has been limited to the single-player combat system of that, mainly because I don't have any gold at this time, nor do I foresee myself getting gold in the future, at least the nearby future. That said, this game is pretty amazing. I know in the online aspects, people have made like some of the craziest looking OC characters ever, especially on the PC versions. I've seen people do like Ralph from Ed, Edd n Eddy. I've seen people do a lot of crazy things with modding the shit out of the games and everything, and I just enjoy the creativity of the community out there. It's insane what these people have come up with. Speaking of created characters, here's a look at what I've made. I've made a bunch of crazy things for no apparent reason other than to satisfy my own improv creativity. Also, I made a vampire, and she's adorable and bloodthirsty. But in any case, I give SoulCalibur a 9.5 out of 10. So what do you guys think? You agree with me on this rating? You want to tell me anything about the crazy-ass fighting tales that you've experienced in this game? Or maybe even just show off whatever crazy-ass OC you probably made in this game? Because I can tell you, I've seen some pretty crazy ones. Some good, some like why, and some that are literally just the butt of a joke. But in any case, thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.